This is Dave Dubeau with another episode of the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. Today, we're doing a special Real Estate Investment Club Spotlight interview. And today, it's my pleasure to be interviewing Frank Patalano, all the way from Rhode Island and part of the Rhode Island Real Estate Investors Group. So, Frank, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Dave, for having me. It's awesome.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, Frank, let's dive right in. Tell me all about the Rhode Island Real Estate Investors Group. How long have you guys been around? The name kind of tells us where you're located, but, what kind of members you have, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So even though we're the smallest state in the United States, we have a pretty big group, which is really awesome. I started attending the group in about 2004, and the group probably started a couple of years before that. We had one guy that was running it, and he loved to give back in many ways. His name is Rick. I consider him one of my mentors. And the best part of the group was that, unlike many real estate investors groups I've been part of, runs more like a club. Our average meeting is very informational. And when I say informational, there are some that are informational that are more money making, but ours is more informational to help others and give back, which is really cool.
Yeah. So you guys, the club's been going for a long time. If you guys have been going since the early 2000s, that is awesome. I mean, most clubs kind of fizzle out after a couple of years. So you guys are going on 20 years. Even though Rhode Island is a small state, pretty good sized population, how many people do you have as part of your membership?
So it's about a million people in Rhode Island, and then we have about 350 paying members. And when I say paying, it's about $100 a year to be a member of it, and then renewals are a little cheaper. And technically, we don't just have Rhode Islanders; we have some people from neighboring Massachusetts and Connecticut that are members as well.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, everything's pretty close together there. Now, let's switch gears here a little bit, Frank. You've been part of the club since 2004, so that's awesome. So obviously, you've been in the real estate game for a heck of a long time. What do you think are the most important reasons people should join or be part of a real estate investor association or a club like you guys?
There are so many good reasons. One, just having a time at least once a month, if not more often, that you get to hang out with like-minded people is one of the biggest things. I mean, in this group, I've ended up partnering with about 5 different people in the group. Maybe a joint venture here, something like that, but you always get to shoot off ideas at each other. I've borrowed multiple millions from people within the group just through hard money, not counting connections and references and, just suggestions, helping each other out. Sometimes we'll do like some kind of special walkthrough where somebody's doing a flip and it's like, hey, give $10, but go see it. Spend a half an hour, 45 minutes hearing how the project's going. Just very informational, and it's really awesome. A lot of referrals, and like I said, you don't have to. What I suggest to people is the first month, don't jump in too much. Be nice, be friendly, talk a little bit, but sit back, listen a lot more, get the feel of the group, and then go from there and gradually keep coming. And the main thing I tell people is that continually coming monthly, you build relationships.
Oh, nothing could be truer than that, because every once in a while you'll see somebody that jumps in and they're like a flash in the pan. They make a big kerfuffle and then you don't see them again, right? You wonder what happened to that person. Yeah, so good advice. Go out there, go check out the club, absorb first, and then, like you say, I think probably a good suggestion would be, well, obviously keep going, but also wherever possible, get involved and volunteer and be part of the club, not just a passive attendee. But if you have any opportunity to actually participate, that makes a lot of sense as well. What do you say about that, Frank? Obviously, you've been doing that very, very actively yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if you volunteer enough, they'll make you the head of it, stuff like that. But no, overall, I mean, it's great because the more you give, the more you get. And, you volunteer to be on a panel, then people remember you and they call you up and say, hey, I got this deal. So, we have a little middle part of the meeting where people can get up and say different things. So I'm like, at the time I was a full-time school teacher. I'm not anymore. And I said, it was like in June, and I said, hey guys, full-time school teacher, I need to find a deal right now to work on something over the summer before I get back to school. And I had about 3 phone calls after that, and 2 out of the 3 were decent deals we ended up buying. So,
Nice. Yeah. So again, I think it's one of those things. If you kind of lead with the giving hand instead of just looking to take all the time, you're going to get much more out of the whole experience. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I had a person contact me the other day that's been a member of the group for years, and we're always helping each other. And he says to me, he says, hey, why don't we partner on this one? It's like, definitely, I'm in,
Nice.
you know?
Well, plus you get to know people, right? I mean, especially
Yes.
the longer they've been there, you can see what kind of a person they are and how reliable they are as well.
And that's what I like about with the partnerships idea. There's people ask me, how do you build partnerships? Because especially when I was working a lot, besides doing full-time real estate before that, they're like, how do you find so many good partners? It's like, well, I try not to partner with someone until I've known them for at least a year. You go to group meetings, you want to get comfortable enough that they're like, hey, listen to this cool story. You don't want to hear them bad mouthing other people, or, hey, this is how I screwed this guy.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of partnerships you want to walk away from, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think T. Harv Eker once said, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you see those red flags and your spidey sensors are going off, pay attention to it, right?
Definitely. But it takes some time to get comfortable to see that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Frank, sometimes certain clubs have kind of a certain kind of a focus. What kind of topics do you guys feature in your club when you're doing the education side of things? And do you? It sounds like you bring in local experts. Do you bring in folks from outside as well from time to time?
We definitely have. With COVID, it was easier for a while because we were all digital.
Mhm.
So we were having our once a month meetings, and what I did is I opened up my Rolodex. I mean, I have some national connections. I've done some speaking, so we went out there and got some of the bigger players that want to give back and across the country and stuff like that. So that worked out really well. When we're in person, because we don't pay anything, and we usually don't have them sell big programs, we
Mhm.
don't get as many national people, but we'll get people that are driving distance, a few hours away, that are definitely experts or gurus or something in the field that they're smart enough and they want to give back. So, and then we have some local people too. So I try to do a few times a year, we'll have like panels. So
Mhm.
like one of the biggest panels that's always super popular is like a landlording roundtable. And what you do is we try to bring a mix of people from in local, and 1 or 2 might have hundreds of units, 1 or 2 might be brand new, and a couple of mid-range people, 4 or 5 people on the panel. And they take questions, they go over their stories, stuff like that. The panels are really interesting because especially if a newer person comes to the meeting for the first or second time, they really feel a relationship with some of those people that are up there, especially the first timers that are buying their first house. So the
Mhm.
panels are really cool too. But I mean, we'll even bring in experts. Like we might have someone that's leads zoning for a city or town,
Right.
or somebody in the fire industry. Trying to bring knowledge. We had a real bad fire going back over a decade ago now in the state, and it completely changed fire coding around here. So we
Right.
brought in someone that was an expert, worked for one of the cities just to discuss it. And that brought a lot of good knowledge to everybody to help everybody be safer.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, it sounds like you had a wide variety of speakers and topics and very practical training for your members. So no wonder you've got so many that have stuck around so long. Yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, so you've been doing this for a long time, Frank. What would you besides your own success, what's your favorite member success story that pops into your mind?
So we have at least we have a few members obviously that are obviously very successful.
Yeah.
But the main one that speaks, we have like a little beginner session, 45 minutes at the beginning of each meeting. And we have a guy, his name is Craig. And Craig went to his first meeting, I think the same month I did. It was like sometime around October 2004. And he went from just, going to meetings to really start wholesaling and then go into the bigger, larger multifamilies. And he still gives back each and every month by coming and speaking for a half an hour or so, 45 minutes about just beginner topics, how to start marketing, how to price out a rehab, stuff like that. And it's really a success story because now, I mean, he's a part owner of thousands of units around the country, and still probably does a few dozen wholesale deals locally every year. And he's a full-time real estate investor.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
plenty of success stories like that. It's really
Well,
great.
it must be so inspirational for the other members, especially the newer ones, to say, "Hey, here's this guy. He's doing what I want to get to be doing. And he's not some big guru that they're watching on TV or something like that, right? It's live and in the flesh."
Yeah, no, it's definitely what's funny. It's for me as well, is because I mean, I've known him. I mean, we've probably met 200-300 times. That's how, I mean, that's, if you think about it, we go to
Yeah.
dinner probably once a month. So I know him. And I happened about just before COVID, I happened to see him speak on a national stage, and there's people that almost want his autograph and stuff like that. It's like, oh, you guys are talking about Craig. They're like, you know, Craig.
Great. Ooh, yeah.
I said, yeah, he lives 2 towns away from me. Of course I know Craig. Oh, can I get his cell phone number? I said, I'll tell you what, let me
No.
check in. I don't think so, but let me check in with him.
Very cool. So Frank, you've been part of the club since 2004. What role do you play? What's your role in the club?
Yep. So for the longest time, I was just sitting back for the first few years. And then I got to the point where I tried to help give ideas for speakers. And then we had a board of directors for a while, and I was on that because as we keep growing, you got to be a little organized.
Mhm.
And then finally, Rick said, you know what? I've been doing this for over a decade. I've already semi-retired once, and then you guys made me bring it back 6 months later. He says, I can't keep doing this forever. So they made me the head of the real estate group probably just about a year and a half ago. So
Wow.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, my background in school teaching, it's like I joke and I call this an extension. Instead of doing it, and I actually have former students that now belong to the group, a few real estate agents, a loan broker, stuff like that. So it's fun that we
Yeah.
took like a group picture, like 5 of us together last year, stuff like that.
Very, very cool. Well, that school teaching background probably helps to whip the rest of the directors into shape and get them doing what they're supposed to be doing. So that is very cool. Now, so you kind of came into that. What would you recommend to somebody who's watching this or listening to this? They're part of a club. What are the big benefits of actually getting involved and being part of the executive or a director or a more active role in the club?
Sure. So one of the main things you can do is you can help steer ideas of what you want to learn about and how you want to make the group better. So now it just helps build connections as well. Now some of the bigger guns, they look to you not only for your own help and advice, but sometimes they'll say, hey, do you have any idea on where to get a little extra money for this deal? Or hey, I can't get involved in this deal because it's a family member, but I want to sell the property. Are
Mm.
you maybe interested? I've had that happen before as well, where it was one of the other guy's sisters, and he says, I can't be involved. I have to be a step back, but I know it's a deal. Would you be interested in buying instead? Stuff like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we're just about wrapping up the interview here, Frank. But at the time that we're recording this, we're in the whatever the hell they call it, the fourth wave of this pandemic thing. How did that affect your club?
So the first thing we did is we gave away a few months of free memberships
Hmm.
because we charge annually, and the first, so we canceled the week of March 2020. And then April, we said, why don't we do a Zoom meeting? So we started in April, once a month. And then we got to the point where like, tell you what, we're gonna do twice a month. And then we got back to in person in May of this year. So just over a year.
2021 right now. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Just over a year. We did all virtual. And what's cool now is that we have a free open meeting for the general public the first Thursday of the month. And then the third Thursday, we're still running in-person meetings.
Oh, so you're doing a hybrid. So one's online and then one's in person. Is that correct?
Yep. So the members only right now is in person. And we just have like our first meeting of the month, the Zoom one has become more of like a member spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
We have members that'll like give away some information or talk about like Airbnb or some other topic that they're really passionate about.
Mhm.
And the in-person meeting ends up being more of an expert level, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
And
that's a really good idea. So has it kind of worked out nicely for you then? Is this the silver lining in the whole thing?
yeah, it's working out great. I mean, we've had no loss of membership. At one point we thought we were, and then people keep signing up. So,
Well, that's wonderful. You're
you know,
definitely doing something right. That's for sure. So Frank, if people want to find out more about the club, again, the Rhode Island Real Estate Investors Group, what should they do? Where can they go to find out more? Maybe attend a in-person event or a Zoom event, because it sounds like you guys have people from all over attending virtually these days.
yeah. So the main thing I'll just give them is the website. It is www.RIREIG.com. I tried to give it in my non-Rhode Island accent there. Because
All right, one more time.
RI like Rhode Island, RIRE like real estate,
Yeah.
I for investor, and G for group.com.
Okay, well, that's nice. And we'll put that in the show notes as well. So
Oh, perfect.
about that. Perfect. Well, Frank, it sounds like you guys have done very, very well with your club long term. And even despite of the pandemic, you guys are still rocking and rolling and actually expanding and expanding your reach. And hats off to you. It sounds like you've got a wonderful club.
It's not perfect, but we try to make it as good for everybody as possible. I mean, even the numbers, like you were saying with COVID, we were busting out of the seams of the rooms at 125, 150 people a meeting before COVID. And now we're sitting around 60, 75, but that's okay. We'll get back there. We have a lot of people still nervous,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing. You got the combo. Very good. Well, Frank, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, sir.
Keep up the good work. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning into this special Spotlight episode. Now, if you're a real estate investor and you're looking to find private money partners and raise capital for your deals, then check out moneypartnerformula.com. You can get a free copy of my book. You can find out how to raise 6 figures or more in 6 weeks or less. Again, that's moneypartnerformula.com.